Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Be Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharmaya Namo Sanghaya Namo Guru Namo Buddhaya Namo Dharma Namo Sanghaya Kande la ye guen yin tu ga ne ra ga shu sa bong zhe shun zi che ye ya wu guen yin lo san se da xie ba ne de xie su dun ye nam ga sen zhe ben de che zhe ma ma ye be zong ga大罗德贝舍那心中，天宝业界业家叔叔，世界军官这边路，街上那边研究历史，北京旁边这边，从这这边天天拉着。业务区域那座面多，期间当时记者为上一直去定扬州，是那新竹铁路，感谢同面对的上报，另外一所米给姐姐，铁不让东宝送进没的。因年月光长白所从，因为对的忙的多了，世界忙白天中天夜，广播剧拉近的吧，大家上班特别热，其实浪漫淡薄钱的，社会快乐天之天天。写到上边对接什么，上边学姐下巴，难道越是引来先吧？说着不了恰到命啊，他们让我受过热的，谁的不都没弄人吧？到时候今年上边给我。见到着我滚了康北，贴不了几只路上差不分别宁国人多设计，明明这边得劲，前面前排王八江北，对我马路中在上，看见开边走进。路上差别下了说我，妹妹这边的前边王八江边，对我马路中在上边，看见前边走进中国，路上差别下了说我。妹妹这边带进进来时，对面前边王八江。对我马路中在上边的看见开边， 罗山长白下拉说的方便早为拉玛人不大说旧人变的天修了卡定千百光年结束故son头节我主在方便早为拉玛人不大说宁可让别名天修了卡定千百光恰当推蒙我主在多是方便杂为拉玛人不大说宁可让别名天修考定千百国内常住宁百八度电吧哎呦马上就没写了考虑进马街那个那给我说说让你一些至于我的上在罗德亚塔嘎的巴拉桑嘎的不的也说哈德亚塔嘎的巴拉桑嘎的不的也说。Deya ta gade para bode so ha gere tongda jajo chewa mede nebe jian dewa Tunba roshin pizon sojo ta yo sa xin bi joy me do da ri ra li ji ni de ye ba de sa ye do me de ba Namo Dai Lo Chöma Ayo Yedan Guru Rana Mandela Daya Sanje Sanje Tanjabada Dane Jasu Dagi Shishi Kola Peja Sanje Rovar Sho Sanje Sanje Tanjabada Dane Jasu Kola Peja Sanje Rovar Sanje Sanje Janala Janjoba Dagi Shishi Jiri Sonanje Rola Peja Roba Sho Simje Tabje Tabjalana Yanda Rosaji Komorba Jinika Tabaji Tabishu Sanya Guru Shanju Sujima Suji said that December. I would like to remind every one of ourselves to take a moment and cultivate the highest form of motivation. We call it bodhicitta motivation or the altruistic motivation seeking complete enlightenment for the sake of all other sentient beings. And with that kind of at least contrived bodhicitta altruistic motivation, we should participate in this Bodhisattva course. And so So we have been dealing with how bodhisattvas they put on the armor, of enthusiastic perseverance or joyful effort, junju in Tibetan, to be able to succeed in their path and practice and actions.
조정 로도 라 냠내 마시나 코야나 코라 동양 녀도 지고라 와 동양 녀 지부 메바 동양 마시 코다 저주심 제바 라나 마다 코야 동양 녀라 와셔다 데지그레스 디가레 아이는 저주심 기스인데 게자데 인 더버지 게산 코스야다 요말 저주 마다 바디 지부 켄다 엔 세도 와디 코베 세야 메인자 인 베 소르도 조조 조리스 게다지기나 코베 니 로베가 가두에는 그 페벨가 맞듯이 그 대가나라자 디고 마셔서 게스다티 조보야 조도여서 디렉 샤니시나이네 그게 예바 장미송로 거야 드려야 애니 증나 쉬고 말이스 어디제 제가 기대니 버리다 거기 셔줄 제발 말아나 애니 뭐 누구냐 가지 말아 다 제발은 다 누구 소리도 야디 계속 거리 매기지 애니 거기서 누구 거야 누구냐 가지 뭐 소리 샤고서도 셔줄세 라바 제발로 되는 누구 성공 거로 시대 기대니 저래도 어디래야.
So from Sutrayana point of view or perspective, it may take 3 great countless eons to be able to become a fully enlightened being or Buddha. So that is unimaginably a long time, and that could, discourage many. I can't, how should I say, go through samsara for that long and with all the suffering, and this is something I cannot put up with or deal with. But the bodhisattvas, because of putting on, metaphorically speaking, this armor of enthusiastic perseverance, chindu in Tibetan, that it doesn't matter however long it takes, they are never disheartened being in samsara and doing what they can to benefit sentient beings. And so as Geshe explained, that even if we don't engage in the bodhisattva activities that require a lot of efforts and dedication, in samsara, we encounter all kinds of suffering and challenges, isn't it? It doesn't matter. The suffering doesn't get more because now you are, you develop the bodhicitta, bodhisattva's attitude, and you are engaging in bodhisattva actions to benefit others. As a matter of fact, by cultivating bodhisattva's state of mind or the spirit, bodhicitta, the advantage we have is that once we really have that state of mind, any positive action that we do, it is conjoined with the bodhicitta, and it becomes a cause for us to be enlightened. So that is the benefit or the profit or the advantage we gain from cultivating bodhisattva's attitude and dedicating ourselves into bodhisattva's deeds of the 6 perfections, isn't it? And as a matter of fact, because of the power of bodhicitta, because of this dedication, the suffering in samsara also, relatively speaking, tends to become less of a suffering. So there's always advantage to cultivate bodhicitta and try to emulate the Bodhisattva's way of life. Even if you don't do that, we are anyway in samsara. So we go round and round the samsara and we experience endless suffering. And so, but simply experiencing the suffering does not end the suffering, So we have to accumulate merit and wisdom to be able to get out of the samsara, to be enlightened. And bodhicitta is, the greatest way to be able to accumulate merit. Whatever merit we accumulate, motivated by bodhicitta, conjoined with bodhicitta, altruism, such merit become inexhaustible, like what we call a perennial tree that just grows forever. Whereas other kinds of positive actions that are not conjoined with bodhicitta, they fruition and then they just exhaust it, right? They don't last, so to speak, forever. So in other words, as Geshe explained, because we are already in samsara, anyway, we can choose not to experience suffering. So it's to our advantage to cultivate the bodhisattva attitude and emulate and dedicate ourselves in bodhisattva actions of benefiting others or the six perfections. In that way, we are able to reduce the intensity of suffering. We are able to accumulate a lot of positive energy or merit that is essential for us to be enlightened. As Geshe said before, once we have real bodhicitta, even if we are not doing nothing, the merit seems to flow from it. Even if you are taking a nap or sleeping, by the power of bodhicitta, right, you are continuously accumulating merit. So that is the advantage or the plus point, having a bodhisattva's attitude.
No, those kid, no, you touch it, this a lot. 你下就的些了，你下最对的为你们，就能到啊，切的就是了，你们顺序到啊这个，确定到啊就也逻辑的去了，罗这完的罗，我们那手续是，这个性，第一就把这通了。如果这完的，看个我们起码也是，心结巴的第一就把通也是，心结这个心结巴些吧就了，如果的他们这完的第一心结巴等个第一就把通心结他们也是，心的结巴些吧就叫。没什么国家的，超就是没国家没什么轻松的事。你可能没有国家，国家总理你们写了是，我这是他国家总理的开始的时候的，可是的，我一谈，我一谈，他别给把开始写的，给把这个介绍的了，少过这个查查的。这是小波这是那小波你这是印了小波你说这的，那这个是的给吧什么这是就呀高阶呢，甚至就上去啥呀，我们都上去就说啥的时候，这个人凶了，我这个人啥凶呢？你这里呀什么事情嘛的时候，这给吧忙活些呢，这个甚至他这同学嘛时候嘛的，甚至经济同学啊，哦，他这个装的是的，我就。这里也没叫写的了，那个的国家，他的这样这些的这个他那就呀，给把考试写了，给把这个弄不得小我这自己说是吧？这对小我这这你人，那就甚至那这老几位老这多了，那甚至这个呀，所以在国内啊，这就是的，这就没那了，这里行不了嘛？这我就说那个是。
Bodhisattva's armor of enthusiastic perseverance is sort of very incredible and inestimable. And the explanation Geshe has given is that, of course, in general, we say how, for the sake of all sentient beings, Bodhisattvas are seeking enlightenment, and that may take 3 countless eons, so be it, isn't it?
Even that seems to be incredibly long time for many, right? That can be very, discouraging. But the Bodhisattva's armor of perseverance, enthusiastic, teaches them that even for the sake of one sentient being, like to bring that sentient being to the state of enlightenment, even if I have to stay in samsara for 3 great countless eons, not for the sake of all sentient beings, just one sentient being, let's say 3 countless eons constituted 1 day, and then a month consists of 30 days of that, even if I have to take that long just to help one sentient being to be enlightened, so be it. So they are never discouraged, right? They never feel like, that's, how should I say, is going to kind of throw them off. So that's the kind of armor of enthusiastic perseverance, we are talking about. That's why bodhisattvas, in general, don't feel discouraged, to take however long to be Buddha for others.
No, that is teaching the party devalues. Ngaji koya tada nyam samde jaje ri ni de sen chula tenda sabe lo jur kyure keba jaze chidik jangni je si shangju choge semji keba chirwa tenda nambe chu cho sin re re sin rugo shu ni ni jo me shangju tamba se yu me ba do jeso je jo khoje zuri khoje zuri de shazim kodi de zuri la me ba zamda Tibetan je wa tela yang te yang tempo yinde te zam je jang zo shang she du zo du zo ba di me be si yit de ba she da te de bu zo du ngo zan de ba da shi me la te de bu shang sun la ni shang ju de he yu hu du le kan da sim shun ba ga wa ji ge sha ga wa ji ya me ba de se 상사리 시에바를 송비 송시 대대에 삼바다 공부 시에바 제네 대제력이 네바디 예베세 귤귤귤조베 테라 양양 로조와 샤고바 소소세 다 당이 네마데 데레도 카르사 로조 미세베덴도 다다 상구디 그 퍼진 되와서는 로봉 데려와 빠우 퍼디로 뒤는 더 지금 말이야 가지 그래서 거기 다다 냠상 디스 자제리면 니를 세 줄라 그래서 다 거기도 찍어 지나세 니네들이 깨바 가지 두두 가지 뒤에 가 셔보지 너 셔보지 임세들로 나와시는 어디에 로 가지 지고 어디 이 저주 드네지 실제는 인데 심지어 동시에도 상제지지도 와도 드지 뭐지 와도 기루가 요말이지 다 심지어 뭐 동시에도 상제 뭐지에도 근데 아저사는 와 어디서
So what we said earlier, that came from a sutra requested for by a person by the name of Lord Misaba. That was a Tibetan translation of the Indian name, which the name should have been translated, but they did. And so now I'm doing the same mistake here. A person whose name says, excuse me, inexhaustible intelligence. Lord Misaba means. Yeah, so there's a sutra requested for by a person with that name. Maybe you want to remember the Tibetan name, you want to find that sutra, Lord Misebe Do. And so now the same thing has been kind of, how should I say, stated by Acharya Vira in his condensed Perfection of Wisdom Sutra, Parjin in Tibetan. And so what they said is the same thing, that bodhisattvas, why they don't feel discouraged easily like anybody else for having to stay 3 great countless eons in samsara to be enlightened for the sake of others, is because they have that kind of a special armor of joyful effort or enthusiastic perseverance. Jundu, Tibetan. I'm translating Jundu into joyful effort and enthusiastic perseverance, you know. And so what that sutra and the condensed perfection of wisdom worked by the Acharya Vira states that even if the three great countless eons constitute one day, and a month consists of such 30 days, that is really, truly unimaginably long time. So even if like it takes that long for a bodhisattva to be able to help one sentient being to be enlightened, or to be able to see a Buddha, right? It takes that long. Bodhisattvas are willing to pursue their deeds and perfections. They never let themselves down. Of course, by doing that, it's very possible that they can liberate many sentient beings and they can see many Buddhas. I mean, that's just like a given thing, right? Even if for the sake of seeing one Buddha, for the sake of liberating one sentient being out of samsara, it takes that long. Bodhisattvas have that kind of courage and determination, so be it, right? They don't give up.
现在成就这边什阶段这不得了？你要刚刚准备抢嘛是还是如果怎么着忙不要是的，你什阶可都谁这个呢？第二个还是什阶可是结不到什阶噻，修得到什阶噻，的那个念不到什阶送下的。
No.
你这把都修的，但什阶的那边。结不到什阶过来是，可是他们说呀，结不真的现在没在过吧？他们说呀，我这边的系统嘛的是，说的你这人们这得了，中人嘛是，什么刚刚下去过来是，小就是别忙呀，已经没有人也把用嘛的是，现在结不到，接到什么结不到手上结的嘛，什么从系统嘛的，因那稍动的。again, simply the song Geshe, so Georgia, some of that is the joy of the was it. So you say a moon, Gaga do a check of my singing any Yevota was a suit that was never the Gaga Shash over the Tenzin.
No, correct. Kena mother, the
Kena, some look at the two shilling, so that's about that.
So Geshe explains that bodhisattvas, they make innumerable aspirational prayers. And it is said that not all of their aspirational prayers have to necessarily come true, because they make the kind of prayers that are almost unimaginable things. An example given here is of in the ornament for clear realizations, by Maitreya, there's mention of how bodhisattvas, they generate bodhicitta in many different ways, isn't it? Altruism in many different ways. So they talk about so many metaphors or examples. And the three prominent ones are that there's something called king-like bodhicitta. So this is where bodhisattvas, said that I would like to be Buddha first, so that I will be able to have all sentient beings to be Buddhas, right? Just like a king, because king has all the resources and the status and majesty, power, then now king has all the ability to help the subject, isn't it? If the king himself is poor, then helping the subject is out of question, right? So they said, so some people argue, some scholars, they said the bodhicitta has to be like that. First, you want to be the king. You want to be Buddha, then you have the abilities to help others. Any other ways of generating bodhicitta, they said that's not working, Then there's another way of generating bodhicitta. It's called the shepherd-like bodhicitta. The idea is that I would like every sentient being to be Buddha first, and I'm the last person because I'm a shepherd, right? I bring all my animals first into the safety, and then I go. And so that's how bodhisattvas pray, but that's not likely to happen, isn't it? This is how they generate the bodhicitta. I want to be like a shepherd. I want everybody else to become Buddhas before me, and then I'm the last person to get there. Okay? And then there's another one, which is we call Nyenpa-like, like oarsman, like bodhicitta, the boatman, like the ferry boatman. Because the ferry boatman is like, I want to be Buddha along with everybody else, isn't it? Everybody in the boat, they will cross the river together, right? Nobody is coming first or nobody is left behind. You are together going there. So bodhisattvas sometimes generate bodhicitta that way. So it doesn't matter in whatever way we generate bodhicitta. Maybe the difference is where, a particular way of generating bodhicitta seems to work more powerful and effective in an individual case, isn't it? So that's the difference. But otherwise, it comes to the same outcome. So that's why it is said that bodhisattvas, they, make such aspirational prayers for the sentient being that many of them are not likely to come true. But just to develop the determination and courage, and for the effectiveness of generating bodhicitta, so they follow numerous ways to do that. So what we just talked about are the benefits of generating what we would call aspirational bodhicitta or altruism, isn't it? Which is like, how wonderful if I can be Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. Even that aspirational bodhicitta, if you truly experience it, it is a very powerful state of mind, and that naturally, produces tremendous amount of merit or positive energy. If that's the case, just with aspirational bodhicitta, it's just an aspiration, right? You're not engaged in action necessarily. But with that aspirational bodhicitta, if you're actually engaging in actions, because bodhisattvas are action-oriented individuals, right, in 6 perfections to benefit others, then the merit that they accumulate would be much more than that, because that's like the difference between what we call the aspirational bodhicitta and the engaging bodhicitta, or the venturing bodhicitta, or the practical bodhicitta. The Tibetan word is Gyeltsen, because that bodhicitta is action-oriented bodhicitta. Aspiration is just aspiration, right? So that's why even if they stay in samsara long, but they also know, because of their aspirational bodhicitta, because of the engaged bodhicitta, they are also accumulating incredible amount of merit, right? And so it doesn't worry them, even if it takes 3 countless years, however long it takes, actually their merit will keep growing, right, to that extent.
And the same generation army, Menaka, but the Nishima, was said to the gave a Mobobe, this is your logo. Till the Kanga Yomaris or Dakaje. What is it?
So the Bodhisattvas do not feel disheartened having to stay however long in samsara to benefit sentient beings and seeking enlightenment, because Bodhisattvas have developed so much habituation, familiarity, intimacy, combat Tibetan, I'm translating in 3 different ways, with that altruistic attitude, which is such a wonderful and benevolent and powerful attitude. And because of that habit of the mind, that for Bodhisattvas, right, it doesn't feel like 3 great countless eons is that long, or it doesn't feel like the suffering in samsara can overtake them. Yes, they do recognize the suffering there, but somehow the suffering, does not become overwhelming suffering for the Bodhisattvas because of their power of the mind and courage and determination. So the training of the mind is very essential, isn't it? Lo Chong, right? There's the mind training, habituation, intimacy, familiarity, komba. That is the power of the mind Bodhisattvas have. And as Geshe quoted from his memory, I think that stanza comes from the Guru Puja, right? For the sake of one sentient being, even if I have to stay 100 eons in the fire of the hell, may I never be discouraged by the power of the compassion. So may I be able to gain consummation in the perfection of enthusiastic perseverance, isn't it? So that's a Bodhisattvas, right? Courage, even for the sake of one. Even about 100 years in the hell of fire hell, like, right? He said, may I never feel discouraged by the power of compassion, karuna, and may I be able to complete the perfection of enthusiastic perseverance. So that's the attitude, courage they have, and that's why Bodhisattvas can take it.
Oh, the donor did somewhat again, So I was watching. Give up out the member. Dallas, Chairman of the Jusho the Young, Jola, Jizzy Javatai Bado, 2 Chirima, Titabula, Joachi Mela, 2 Tumushigi, Chojutava Devani, Love Chojutava Devani. So, Zosali, Rundi, Jovado, Sansamji, Yingdo. 没有熊啊，这话的组织，拉不起的准备是就是确定，对这种情况拉个是做这种的，有的小组这边送所是，我听他，过300千多人，他没上去可能就不同的嘛就，你给我们我这个这把介绍嘛是这个生意啥的呢？你这个。Those把人当没有啊，有嘛的是话。那这可是可能我他可能甚至一个差过的这个，所以被可是东个人可能这里要被身上的没有啥吧，可是家是不见呢。这个靠上去有头的做家是不少个类似，我这是个。
High expectations and instantaneous gratification. These are antithesis of Bodhisattva's attitude, right? If you want to become Buddha in like few days, as soon as possible, and if not, then I just check out. Right? That's not working for me. So that kind of attitude actually distances us from enlightenment, isn't it? It's going to take us further away from enlightenment, even if enlightenment is nearby, because we said, I want instantaneous enlightenment, and it didn't happen. Whereas Bodhisattvas, they broaden their perspective and they widen their heart, right? Altruistic heart. And so they said, however long it takes, that's their attitude. But because of the power of their bodhicitta compassion, that it doesn't seem to take that long for them. As a matter of fact, their bodhicitta and determination, courage, and their deeds of 6 perfections, as a matter of fact, help them to accumulate so much merit, purifies so many negativities, and as a matter of fact, they're able to achieve enlightenment faster than right what is expectedly. So that's the right kind of attitude, right? So high expectations and instantaneous gratification are the antithesis of Bodhisattva's mindset.
Da sumba tunjo jubal ni se dorde ba jeba shebo thongbo ne simje tungju simje thoro so de jigde ne jebo shebo na pung pung so yena she de be go ne se shende ju rang ge de be thong jubal sheba she de shanje se ba nang jang se zong ri ji mi de sho jomba da simje thong jubal she she de 工作起来那边也不总理解，是到结完小啦，连着上的，第浪到最后的写完了，准备到结，结完小啦，连着上的，第浪到最后的写完了，准备结完没别到，没别到，没别到马大吧。没别到马大不这种了民族了，大年修行是这么这特什么什么特别多，那媳妇这么就把他穿没就把那是穿没就把这特什么什么特别多。 媳妇这么就把他穿没就把我们没把这些女特别来了，就是种把搞一道，就是这边里边什么的，头啊，女生特别美人呢，人性艺术，人性艺术的是什么的呢？那种吧是特别多不到，现在总之也听见一诺些，他没得说呗，把小辈子老子把挂呢，他老来的听见主要的看这个说的这个，但是他到岸的时候，他看见这是个多少很少，小娃那是连着了，弄到水呢，对吧的叫我小娃了。 连着地浪到水去是吧？对吧？对不到也话说完了，连着上的地浪到水去的是吧？对吧？到也话说完了是，对吧？到可是这个，他连着上的地浪到水去的是吧了？对吧？到也话说完了，连着上的地浪到水去的是吧？对吧？也话没别到，没别到，他们对吧？也不是。 没别倒是，马大把金融中没说了，大年休息，咱们这差些吧些吧，特别倒是啊。他们可能别老多如果当下就要投资人嘛的当下些，那我听就讲的特别倒是哇，然后天天啊，这出生呢，嘛没多特别倒是，今天七八这么了，就把倒是。 穿没去吧？我们没把这些年上面练了，就是什么高月道士，那时候不是不这么在的是，你们人家在的那了，哎，他说咖啡想你们是这样么的，这鸟呀，这鸟嘛是吧？我就是吧，我听着那个，看的那个鸟呀是鸟嘛是的，这个是吧？头也到的，可是啊，他总之这边是，什么的头啊？ 有时候头啊，也是，明天呢，人性年少的是什么的，来人做嘛是头要到那些，头要到就是的，头要到是都是，他别人老年嘛，他别人年轻时候是讲的，那年轻过你往多要不起说那也没个报的呀，你长寿生的也多是吧？我这也头要到那年轻强的，也报呀的这个。 他这边讲，场地和 对，就是要不嘛，见的刚练就看啥的，但是你是讲的呀，你现在养这样才不要当养下去，这个突然到这的，那个就是你说突然这个的，扩大其实呢，人口嘛也不要个，这突然到你的话，
Torba second tell about the Torba need of the road.
这突然是那这的他说，我们爹嘛这些，第一个也知道，这个人生介绍的。인생이 공 되는 세다 배가 말아. 다 저주는 공부로. 진짜 저거. 얘기도 안 하던 저거 가지.
So we're at the bottom of page 91, and Geshe-la's reading of the extensive commentary and explanation pertains to stanza 31. Let me read it. The supports when working for the sake of living beings are aspiration, steadfastness, joy, and rest. Aspiration is developed through fear of misery and by contemplating the benefits of aspiration itself, unquote. So earlier, what we talked about is this, that from a negative standpoint, why bodhisattvas do not feel discouraged like, other people, right? Having to stay in samsara for that long because of the armor of enthusiastic perseverance and the kind of mindset that they have, that bodhisattvas don't get easily discouraged, right? So now we are looking at from the positive perspective, right? And for bodhisattvas to be able to further their enthusiastic perseverance, so they need to have what we call supporting powers of the forces. So it's the supporting conditions, right? You need a supporting condition to be able to succeed in what we do. And the four powers, the Tibetan word is top, sometimes we translate as forces, right, are the following. Nimba, aspiration, Tenpa, steadfastness, Kawa, joy, and Telva, they're translated as rest here. Okay. So as Geshe explains every one of them, that in order for bodhisattvas to be able to continuously pursue and enhance their perfection of enthusiastic perseverance or joyful effort, they develop this kind of a strong aspiration based upon contemplating the outcomes of what we call the practice of abandonment and cultivation based upon the law of karma, action, isn't it? The practice of abandonment means what are the things that we should not do and we should abandon and get rid of. The practice of cultivation means what are the things we should adopt, we should cultivate, but all of these things are based upon the natural law of karma, right? The karmas produce different outcomes. So contemplating like these things, bodhisattvas are able to develop this strong supporting aspiration to be able to stay engaged in their enthusiastic perseverance. So that's one. The number two is steadfastness. The Tibetan word is Tenpa. So this is where bodhisattvas, before they engage in an action, they take time to be able to investigate and examine, right, the pros and cons of engaging in action, and can they really do it or not? So once they decided, then they never take a step backward. They always go forward. They stay steadfast, right, to the action. So before they make the decision, they're going to take time to be able to reflect on things. Can I do it? How beneficial it is? What, right? All of those things. So once the decision is made, then bodhisattvas do not step backward. They stay, firm. Steadfastness means firmness, right, in their commitment to the action. So that's another supporting force or the power condition. The third one is called the power or the force of joy, kawat, right? And the example given here is the kind of joy bodhisattvas experience pursuing their actions and benefit sentient beings. It's just like children who never seems to get tired playing together, right? They have so much energy. Even if you let them play the whole day, it's like, how did the time go? They don't feel tired. They're just continuously engaged in their activities, right? So very happily, right? It's just like that, Bodhisattvas have that kind of a supporting joy to be able to pursue their, deeds and actions. Then the last supporting force or the power is called Delva. The Tibetan word Delva literally means to take a rest, right? Maybe that's how they translated it. But Geshe has given two different meanings on it. So the rest means that, you need to know, right? If you are getting too exhausted and you cannot push yourself too hard, so you need to know that you need to take a rest, right? So that you can recharge your battery, so to speak. That power of rest and relaxation is also important, right? Not to just kind of crazily, Geshe didn't say the word crazily, keep going. But that's the meaning of Telwa. Tibetan word Telwa means rest and relaxation. But Geshe also kind of give a double meaning in the sense, Dorwa. Dorwa means to abandon. So, like the root word ta is the same. One is Thor and one's Tel. That's only la and ra suffix difference. I remember someone said, what's the root word? So there, my footnote. So to abandon means that, say, you are cultivating aversion to misery in samsara, called ngenjong, renunciation, isn't it? So once you have got renunciation under your belt, now you should look upward to progress, right? You should cultivate bodhicitta. You're not going to stay stuck in the bodhicitta. Now you abandon, right, the renunciation. You already got it, and you are not going to stuck here. You are going to, right, go for the next level, bodhicitta. With me? So that's the sense of Thorwald. And then maybe if you feel like, okay, before I really embark on the bodhicitta, I need to take a rest, right? So that recharge my battery. So it goes together. So you said, okay, I got the renunciation under the belt. Before I start the bodhicitta, okay, let me take a rest. And then I'm going to master my effort into developing bodhicitta. So this is another supporting condition or a power or a force. So bodhisattvas, the perfection of interjectic perseverance is grounded in or supported by these supporting conditions, the four: aspiration, firmness or steadfastness, joyfulness, and rest and relaxation. Or that once you have got it, don't get stuck in the lower path, go up, just abandon it, let's move on, right? That's that kind of power.
What is Karsa? Tetan shil mube to gizine, mube the dimbe to mige, divu kore, dunga naso wasabi, jigwadam. Dota gele, sonum sada, jeva me, sonum sheda jeva me, yida wada devachi, shiso mube peyo jusumba ta, there gets or some jizawa yeba sumba so mubati penyo na ya likbar sabi duba jeva shaw ta ditere khanje gedi longda shine khanje miga shine tin du miga yo yi sheba yo shine tin du de yo lende li ji ja dire do sheze lende li ji je tamna en ko shawad dugu ro lende li ji be na ko longdo nyos ne to marwa just little easy was subsia tell this or that movie top score that
Dika maba dikin teba chader be.
movie that you give us in do easy eva because not do doing easy yes no
Yishe parala maba
there's
chader.
easy was you movie na easy the table shakta table se asig movie
So I was trying to ask for clarification about the merba, which is translated as aspiration. Is this aspirational faith? We just want to be specific, right? He said, yeah, because when we think about the outcomes of natural law of karmic actions, right? Do good, have good; do bad, have bad. And if we, have faith in that infallible working of a law of karma, then we are more likely to follow it, isn't it? If you don't believe in that, like, well, that's what, then we are not going to be like pursuing in action. So that's why this kind of aspirational faith is really based upon contemplating the natural law of karma and how it works infallibly, right? Create merit, positive actions, you will have positive results. Create negative actions, you will have negative results, right? They don't mess up, right? And so to have kind of faith in that kind of infallibility of law of karma, so then that gives them that empowers them to be able to pursue enthusiastically their actions accordingly.
What is it? Because有的没吧，这在对面到呢，这不可以动的，来这个的三，那装备三百这个的，都在这里，所以现在这边没，一代的电话这些，每位朋友就是把他那个说他这些早也不说吧，说没把他朋友那没把的朋友那样六百三百是对吧？这边瞧我这里看见，都在就是我这里个，说那么菜的，就他们看见连这里一些人呢。因为每个脑筋都大，你要做就都写的用过是吧？我对他的每个写呢，老师写的，你看你连这里一些没有中过的，你之前的每个满怎么写，你要这么写的方面写过是吧？他就给我这么东西开始对吧的，每个这么东西我问你他这个别一些人呢，因为每个就是嘛就是，就对就给我如果是吧，对的。근데 네가 용어 말했어. 그래서 시선 지금 보세요. 지금 네가 시사 니네 네가 말하고 네가 시라 마시라. 세다 어디 다들 뭐 봤대 뭐 뒤에나. 근데 얘들랑도 딱다 죽토야 샤그리스. 근데 죽토서는 애는 비게 대화지 네가들이 다가래 먹어서 사람도 들에 매우시. 이제 이런 시다마도 이제 네가 매우시 샤그러. 어디서 말이.
So it is very vital and essential for us to contemplate the natural law of karma and how it infallibly produces, the respective positive and negative outcomes. The reason why, we still find ourselves, engaging in negativities and not doing enough of positive actions is, probably we still don't have the aspirational faith in the natural law of karma, isn't it? But if we do have that faith, then that faith becomes sort of like a guiding light that we become very committed to follow, the law of karma accordingly, that we know that by doing positive actions, we will have positive results, isn't it? By abandoning negative actions or not doing negative actions, we don't have to worry about the negative results. So we have so much aspirational faith that we are not going to violate those laws of karma. Does that make sense? And so not only that, if we live our life according to the natural law of karma, do good, have good, right? And abandon the negativities, then we really we have so much joy in the heart. And we will have no regret. There's no place for regret, isn't it? Because we are doing everything according to the law of karma. We try our best to do the positive things, the right action, do our best not to do the negativities. And if we do negativities, we purify them. So then there's so much joy in the heart following this law of karma. And we have no reason for regret because we are doing possibly whatever we can, So this is what's happening with the bodhisattvas,
我这些，他那到弟兄的，我那的意思，他那组织界没得说，也是人民说同样，民族白是，我们也是来了的，啥年些也来了的，那个这个做了看了你样就是，兄弟是民族白，当然也来了，那帮的，的听见。 尊重你别人是他没把的准备动上这些，我觉得是特别东西，我也碰到，他不的，就要工作去，这那是，我去全世界是，嘟嘟噜噜没到纪律，纪律什么安全到底是，纪律什么安全到底呢？到底能尊重国家，尊重可能蹦出更到处给是到处这样说的，到当蹦给最近不是写不写罗是，我这道士的蹦是呢，可是他今晚的可是他。给骂中间的一问呢，说骂家个产生这些，没得说话怎么样？骂没产生些，说骂家听一刚刚做不做呢？家多了，我的那些，我做帮助的，这个没得说怎么样？这个听一下这个当中你个我的意思我的，可是啥？这是我，听见没？他。准备蹦是这些，他蹦是到这些，我代表蹦是，我是那这里大考些，他那个是我是你们我是嘛是吧？你系统的是，其实那不是刚刚系统的，我也系统的是的，我是我是吧？代表蹦是意思，我也蹦是的，这两个对不对的？这别新人忙多没吧？我是做兄弟。我天啊，这是我也崩死了。知道我是休息和这些呢，被我也我休个嘛，就车所些的来的呢，老子到街头嘛是吧？我这个时候的这些，我也崩到是，他也崩，这是叫我崩做细节了是，我是天天给这种就这两边到不到的纪律。写律师啦，安全的到底，到呢，终究可能别写的别把小我写，我的他那里的别把写不写，提出终究来呀的安全的到时下的上，那个刚刚被娘们把老空的，娘子来把别刚刚这个没有别想找他下手的，我就是我这的，空别到时候呢。终究可能别些的这别把小我杀，我觉得这他的终究可能做他到底也过呢，终究可能的中国人是吧？是啊。
We're on page 92, and right on the top, stanza 32 reads, "Thus, in order to increase my enthusiasm, I should strive to abandon its opposing forces, to amass the supports of aspiration, self-confidence, joy, and rest, to practice in earnest, and to become strong in self-control." So that is the root text. And Geshe read the commentary and explained. So Bodhisattvas know that, to pursue the perfection of enthusiastic perseverance, they have to tackle things on a two front, right? The metaphor Geshe gave is like the military trainings, isn't it? When you go to the battle, you have to have two strategies, defensive and offensive, isn't it? I mean, you have to know how to defend yourself, otherwise you get killed. And you have to know how to be offensive, otherwise you're not going to win anything there, right? So they need two strategies, defensive and offensive. So like that, Bodhisattvas know that in order to enhance their enthusiastic perseverance, they have to know the opposing forces. In other words, different forms of laziness, isn't it? Right? And so you have to be mindful and check out those laziness. We have the laziness of indolence, or I call it couch potato laziness. I don't feel like doing anything, right? That kind of laziness. Then we have the laziness of procrastination. Yes, practice is important. I'll do it tomorrow or later. That never comes. That one. And then the laziness of underestimating yourself. Like, yeah, but yeah, I know it's important. I can. Not me. All this kind of excuses, like not me, but we always undermine our own ability to do stuff. So these are the opponent forces. You cannot let them take over you. All right. And Bodhisattvas know that. That's one front where they have to deal with these different forms of laziness. And then on the other hand, they have enhanced the enthusiastic perseverance with the four supporting conditions or the forces here, you know. And I mean, pretty much everything is explained as before, but one thing Geshe explained a little slightly different is the aspiration is the same, the aspirational faith we talk about. The other one is self-confidence, isn't it? In order to counteract that I'm not ready, I'm not qualified, I'm not meant for this kind of undermining one's own self-esteem and ability, we have to boost up our self-confidence. The Tibetan word is called ngajel, which can be translated as ego. But this is not the ego as an afflictive emotion that we need to get rid of or let go. But this is the kind of ego that we need. Yes, I can. Why not? Why can't I? Right? That kind of a confidence ego we need to cultivate. And the joy is, as Geshe said, for us practitioners, like when we engage in our practice, we should do it willingly and happily, isn't it? Not like somebody has obligated us to do, or we are kind of forced to do it, right? Not that. Because that kind of mindset doesn't bring any effectiveness to the practice, isn't it? Yeah, I have to do practice commitment. It doesn't, right, have any effectiveness, right? When you willingly and happily do your practice, then it becomes effectiveness, you know. So that joyfulness is important. And then, of course, the Telbethop, the power of rest and relaxation, isn't it? And so the last line of that stanza says, like, once we really progress, or Bodhisattvas do, like, prosper and succeed in their perfection of enthusiastic perseverance, because of the power of that, now they are able to have much better control over their body and mind, isn't it? Regulating the body and mind is not a tiresome or exhausting thing. Because of the power of habituation, then now you are able to have much better control over body and mind to use them in whatever way you need to. Yeah.
Oh, tell us, you move goodness that move top say the Tabo de Lord. Carries in the Tagonis, you move at this, move at the Gades in the good deal. Move can't hear nothing, yeah, go, she don't give a shame this. Zimba the Mejoba, Ye legend or here some batter, wrong semi yes in basic. You know that the corner in J, shade you, my no young dears, Zimbe, requiring Sile Mejoba Heaven, ranking yes, you told a mover, Tebogines. How do you go and tell a head your minuba was? Dota Jane. Deva change, deva change, Kinda, Shizo, Move Cheba Shedon, take what symbol tell her, so Xin Ring, Shizo, Pidgey, move Darius to your song source. That they merge it up, maybe I said, Lady is Shartse. That didn't move. I said, you don't sound you move us or so shall you move us, move another.
So the merba, translated as aspiration, in this context, has been explained as aspirational faith. And that arises from contemplating the natural law of karma and its infallibility in terms of bringing the good and bad outcomes, you know. But aspiration can also be explained in other ways too. Like when we think about the three yanas or the vehicles, right? And the hearers or kasharvaka yan, they have different aspiration, isn't it? And then the particular Buddhas or the solitary realizers have a different aspiration. And then the Bodhisattvas, the Mahayana, have a different aspiration. So aspiration can be also explained in terms of these different practitioners with different aspirations that they're pursuing as well.
Oh, that is so. That then Dumba to say that Dumba. Mubas and the call you would say. Dumbas is a tone in Yarava. Not tell that in Gala go to say it. Dumbas the water.
No, so.
What is the order? Tombuti Mubas, easy you was it. Easy you were gone, so tell the Tony season, tell Dumbas or Dumbeto said it. Tell us, since you moving on, the Kundi lady, near the Silenti, he was moving, he was teaching you what Jerry so said. Simjung Dubengo, Nikunduso, Dubengo tell down, there was she they were so be. Legion here so about that. Sabiango last, meaning it told you was or dear Kazida. Call ya yonde to yonde to that is so good as a tone year to the Dimbas and the Buvas. Tony Rigbo. Chilene de Beto Gaden Shiva Ibla. Teaching Udale, near the Dilla Devada. Just giving you the Shiva day. Sit da near said that soon you can name. Could move at the debate the US in his story to my Tegoro. Call your death one that Bovamina in Legatil Jumarva.
No.
But tell you little so good to son in Tito Dal Bezosia, it's a use of Gara.
No.
Or the two days said it.
No. In Shiksha Samukya or Compendium of Bodhisattva Trainings, Kundu, aspiration has been defined as a mental factor in the form of seeking, right? When you think about anything you desire or you seek, you think about all the benefits and the qualities of whatever that is. Once you are convinced, yes, now I really want it, isn't it? So the seeking happens. So that's mind seeking, whatever that is also called aspiration, isn't it? Aspiration is in the nature of seeking what you desire. So once you are convinced with the qualities of that, nobody can change your mind, isn't it? You are convinced. So this aspiration is also very like in the form of trust, isn't it? You're completely believing in whatever that is, and then you're going to pursue it, right? That is the nature of an aspiration talked about in Bodhisattva, Compendium of Bodhisattva Trainings. So that kind of aspiration is also the source of enthusiastic perseverance, isn't it? When you see the qualities and the benefit or whatever that is, and so now you feel that, okay, I want to pursue it joyfully, isn't it? So without that aspiration, there is no way for the enthusiastic perseverance to arise. So it's also the source. Ne means it's also it germinates from that.
What is that? Dumba said, Dumba years. So you do that get in the quiet that no Madame and Chia. That's all the men. He calls Bill Jack, so then move it to move a knee or see what that day.
Need a color.
La. So you that you said that no, we don't call you. You was a jigger. No. That never said when the sour. You'll give us
No. The aspiration can be of two types. Aspiration in the sense that if you already have, aspiration could be something that already exists in you, and you know what you are seeking, you are convinced with that, and you don't want to lose that aspiration. You want to keep it, right? That's something you already have it. Now, aspiration can be something that we don't have it yet, but we would like to, pursue that. So it's in the forms of like seeking something. So there are different forms of aspiration. Something you already have it, you want to keep it and enhance it, but something we don't have it, and we would like to have it, right? So that could be an aspiration too.
Oh, this guy's yes, once a guy that teach you what there's a never Good revenue to he, but then do but Zuri in never to resource, and yes, because Dumba Yuna, and to do you work in Dumba, and to do you more.
No.
Dumba so called Tony Yajara. Tony Yaji Mena, Taras go to reach still college Marma. Oh, this so they do about those, in Tito College Yumora. For this water.
So, as Geshe explained before, that without aspiration, it's hard to have enthusiastic perseverance, isn't it? So when you see something good and you admire it, right, and you appreciate it, then you might develop the aspiration that I would like to have it. So from that aspiration, then comes the joyful effort or the enthusiastic perseverance. In the first place, if we don't appreciate something, right, and we don't see anything in it, then we will not have that aspiration. So without aspiration, we don't, how should I say, generate enthusiastic perseverance.
What take to that Dumba Zulu Guinea resource. Dumbe Juni each of it Tivadang. So Dumbasa, you are the person. Call ya Yonde Toyagi, because easy to go out. Even so soon as I Yomarwa.
No.
Peneda Saudi Saudi love the Barricade. Money they are what you do, and Yonde Tosan and the Tabishira.
No.
But they tell the bus to tell you easy at the zero. So did the body you to read some grace near the never the solutions near the Dumba Dumba take it the solution, solution, the Tonda the Dugro. So, Dumba Juni easy with Tebado. To read his own source and did not hinic of here. Dumba said, because the big good because easy with Teba is Dumba did told in Yala. The one that raise a easy man called Yadua Jimarma or this one. But do what you're going to Yabu do something, so you some what he said. This is a Teva Zulu, his own, Dumbala, Kedu in the Bada, Minjua de Duba, Tony Duba. Some years, the Shema la Nancy Gia Mamosa. Jeva Gashi de Tsai Sisi Simju Muva Yela se Musone, Hindu, Teda Sheja, Mingelos. So the Muva says to the Muva, the Muzazo, you go, I did. Since till not here is that easy. In the star Muva, this is quite Simju Rori or Simju Muva Well, Nancy, your mom was Jeva Gashi. The 60 the Simju Muva Yellow Mus on the Shea Dubi. Teda Sheja, Mingelos, and Muva said, Kadama, Tiba Sheba member, Tiba member, maybe the Tarva will carry you going to Kaji to Ganga Simju. Well, he is Karagunzi and degree.
So what we just talked about is that aspiration leads to enthusiastic perseverance, and enthusiastic perseverance leads to its outcomes, isn't it? That is the sort of a theoretical model that we can see. Then the question we ask is, what can give rise to aspiration? What's the cause of aspiration? Well, conviction is yiche. An example Geshe has given that if we develop conviction in the qualities of enlightenment, right, then we are likely to aspire for those qualities. And from that aspiration, likely to arise enthusiastic perseverance, and then that will lead to the outcome. Are you with me? So if we put the kind of a theoretical model here, so the antecedent is the conviction, yiche, that leads to the aspiration, that leads to the enthusiastic perseverance. Enthusiastic perseverance, if we think in terms of calm abiding, leads to the pliancies, isn't it? Then the pliancies will lead to the other outcomes. So that is the theoretical model we are looking at it, isn't it? So without conviction, like if we are not convinced that enlightenment has such a benefit or whatever, right, then we are not likely to pursue it. But if we're convinced about enlightened qualities, then we have that conviction, and that can lead to aspiration. I would like to be enlightened. And then that aspiration can help us to pursue enthusiastically the path and practices. And then that enthusiastic perseverance can give rise to pliancies, right? Our mind and body become very pliant, serviceable, and then that will lead to the rest of the outcomes, And sorry, something I left about. And then there's whole discussion about, what is the Dunba aspiration, right? People can come with all different categories of aspiration. And so the final verdict is that, okay, doesn't matter, different types of aspiration you can talk about. You can talk about Sharvaka aspiration, Pratika Buddha aspiration, Mahayana aspiration. But at the end of the day, aspiration is just the same. It is a mental factor. When we look among the mental factors, there is a mental factor called aspiration. That's what we're talking about. Whether it's Mahayana aspiration, that's the mental factor. Whether it's the Sharvakayana aspiration, that mental factor. Whether it is the Pratika Buddha aspiration, that mental factor. It goes back to the same mental factor.
Mube pung ten bam nga ji pung ga pung to pung she ba dang bon da xin she zo de han dun ba to pung she ba dang bon de han dun ba me be me ba la ye ba se je dun ba ma shi ba me ba ne da ti ji me ba je ne se the same day, the TG Gor Shubena, Dumbedo Tabu Guanes, that the Sage Jula, Yebe, Dumi Yeva, you saw me, Tai Bad Bever, to Yeva did. Tamje Dage, show me, Pansha go Bashi, Shago Shik de, same day to the Koja go de, Tauji Vicheros, go to that day, long to Nyamle the sugar is that. Nyamle Shakar, the person, Sylvia Tamil to Shartse gets out. Said that this on you do away the Delia and Nyamle Pong the Mena and Sanjia Yomara. Said that this the same gates are the Delia, same gate tower, the Julian Shane. In the long dollar Jukta Shoris or Takaji Handaja. Garrison. Tawako is those I do is the killing she's out of others. You are what is Goja? Corsa Koja go the Tamji which or did Carson da long door be goes like that go is Goya Carson Charles get Jugdum Gaga Yamla killing she's that was. So the killing she's at the dark. No. What is it?
No. So earlier, when we look at the outline says there is the sort of a synoptic presentation, Dorjee, and then there is the extensive presentation. So now we're done with the synoptic presentation about the force supporting conditions or the forces of the powers and things like that. So now we are moving to the extensive discourse of the presentation, Gyeba. So here, when we talk about the supporting conditions or the forces or the powers of enthusiastic perseverance, we have the aspiration. The Tibetan word is Dunba, right? And then we have this steadfastness or the firmness. Then another word we use is the self-confidence, right? That's one or the same. It seems like that too. Then the third one is the joy. And then the fourth one, we said the rest, the power of rest or relaxation, and also the power of needing to know it, right? That once you have, let's say, renunciation, then just stop it now, kind of let go, letting go. Let's say, letting go. Abandon doesn't seem like the right word. It's so negative. Let go. That's the good one. Let go the renunciation and go for bodhicitta or the higher up practice. That's what it is. So what Geshe just explained is this, that once, like when we think systematically, first we have to generate the bodhicitta or the altruism, isn't it? So once we have the altruism, that is that itself doesn't bring us to the enlightened state. Now we have to put it into action, isn't it? So altruism is making a promise. I want to be Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. So once you have promised it, then we have to follow our promise, right? So that means we have to engage in the necessary practice, path, and action so that we are able to realize our goal. Without action, simply aspiring for something is not going to happen yet, so that's why action or the practice is essential.
Some da ko se jedam ji chena ning mage ba se mage ma ning mage ba rewa ma chuba te ne ning sa xie rang la me ne se du ba je de zun zhu zhe ba ko wo se de da be我也乔治是多巴里的是的做生意的呀些那给我他们说在也是这个刚老亚给的他们现在的他说他两年的你们他们就要怕你们那这个呀你们这要不出去那样嘛是他都你的那边说的宁着开忙着的没现在的什么些你是有见的你别
Stanzas 33 and 34 read, I shall have to overcome the boundless faults of myself and others, and in order to destroy each of these faults alone, I may have to strive until an ocean of eons is exhausted. But if within myself I do not perceive even a fraction of the perseverance required to exhaust these faults, then why do I not have a heart attack? For now I have become an abode for infinite misery, unquote. So Geshe-la's explanation started to be relating to those lines. So this is how bodhisattvas think, and this is what we should be thinking too. That at the time of receiving bodhisattva vows, right, we said, I would like to be Buddha for the sake of all sentient beings. And for that reason and purpose, I'm taking bodhisattva vows and I'm going to keep them intact. Okay? So we already met the pledge or the promise that we are going to seek enlightenment for the sake of others. And that requires actions or to engage in actions and follow, isn't it? And now when we look at ourselves, intra-personally within ourselves, then we can figure out that wanting to become enlightened for the sake of others requires that we will get rid of all the afflictive emotions, isn't it? But in reality, I haven't even tried to get rid of one afflictive emotion. For all I said, I will do it, right? So that's kind of like, how can I still live like this? Why don't I have a heart attack? I made that big promise, and I'm not even doing a little bit of here kind of thing. So so therefore we say, okay, because I made that promise, now I should master my kind of energy that I would like to pursue in whatever way I can to fulfill my promise. So this is how bodhisattvas, how should I say, self-encourage. themselves.
No, that they shall
So we have to stop there today, and we welcome your questions. Anything on the online? No. Then we are here, back to ourselves. Anybody would like to, behind the glass wall or outside the glass wall?
Going back to verse 30 that Geshe spent 2 sessions on, is this the way I see it? It's addressed to somebody, to the mind that's inclined to actualizing nirvana. Is that the point? Verse 30. No, 30.
30.
Yeah.
Having mounted the horse, that one, right? Having mounted the horse.
Yeah, specifically, yeah. That somebody who is inclined to enter nirvana, obviously has to be warned against that. So that's the verse. Is this the meaning of the verse? It's addressed.
Instead of following the nirvana.
No. The verse is addressed. The meaning of it is addressed to somebody who is inclined to enter nirvana.
Oh, I see. Oh, is it that? Okay.
Yeah.
Quran disagree ke kazlam chanju sim ke tashne rawage ane kar so da di bige pyonge me beton rawa chik chego lab rawage di sikje di mixe ki ta dis rawage chanju tenye main barwa rang tendo rani chibu nyangde tenye yorwa dide chegen le ya mig ne sungsha yorba sa chanju sim ke tashne ane yese di Changju sem ke tashne ene ngewa me ba da zongbo la ba ge di rangden tu khowa samle tharbe nyangde ro ge de ni ge samru yogen mi chala ro ge di ka zhen di ming di she ge ro sa da di tangda zo ro di nyangde rangi chigo tangda ya khowa samle tharbe nyangde de ni yogen samru yogen mi chala ro ge da di la lab cha di ge go ro sa changju sem ke tashne se di
da 小日生的大雄下的开始呢，小日生没那大一个，现在他有上进工，他要比这样哪个这样前进的要嘛是吧？我对了。
但因为嘛，的垃圾的比个让人都搞什么的，让人都夸张了，娘的对人的那个人说的。
娘的是他的极端的就是他娘的同学的来可收是吧？
啊，的极端是。Geshe said, this is not particularly meant for those who are seeking nirvana just for themselves. Well, that's included, but just like, if anybody who wants to be enlightened, then without awakening mind, right, riding that horse is impossible, right, in general.
Well, it's not. It's actually the verse is in my translation. It says, "Upon mounting the chariot, the spirit of awakening." So this is a precondition. It's not about developing the spirit of awakening, which carries away all despondency, awareness. What sensible person would despair at progressing in this way from joy to joy? So the point is that knowing that it takes 3 countless eons. Of being in samsara, one may decide to enter nirvana and completely get rid of all the.
Is that a possibility, or is that?
Yeah, it is. I mean, obviously, it is a possibility. Right. That's the great danger. And furthermore, isn't it said that a bodhisattva can actualize nirvana upon entering the path of seeing?
They can enter the nirvana.
No, they actualize nirvana.
Oh,
they can actualize nirvana. Upon entering the path of seeing. I'm not sure if this is true. So obviously this is a great danger. And the second dangerous point is, if that's correct, at the 8th bhumi. Again, the 8th bhumi of Bodhisattva may decide to enter. So actually this verse would be kind of, especially addressed to this kind of people.
Quran samla desi wada tanda gen changju sang ta shön se je rowa ge ani ngewa tanglen chogor da sem ju yishum ju mar se je rowa Quran samba di kalso gore pena ta chi sanje ko bang tho wala ya ke chen thamme sum so sa ko da la rowa ge oda din le sa wala de gyun shu ko da de la da ngara 코발레 탈베 양대 전셔나 something some 코시로 하게
아레레
인데 코웨나 this some of the 도야 셔도 하게
아레
장주선 다시네 서하게
아레
인데 고주 이기로 와서 하게 또서로 라지 잡단 시마 왜게
레다 성서 딱 성서다 정지 습디 쇼도 자니 신
소소라디 랍서로 하게
랍쇼지 대쇼
아니네 고는 디스고도 단다게 장주선바 통람 토버로 하게
아레
통람 토버디 고 체르데 제베이나 갑델리아 다가서 넘바를 제베나 디 코발레 토베 양대요 말하게 양대 토베다 장주선바 사당부 토베니디 직거를 차대요 말해서 그게
라
코발레 제베 양대 토바다서 아니 기고 등다로 하게 장주선바 통람 토메 저로 하게 통람 토베이나다 양대 코라 톱트웨 니바를 들려요 말해서 그게
아레 총으로
통람
아레 누가 레고 저기서 세다 니라나 이제 타가 터셔나 거기 초봉부 사마도 톱도는 디페도가 말아 디제다 이 공주야 타가 맞으면서 초봉부 사죠 지진데 저거로
말마 디소데긴 단다 장주선바 사 당고를 내겐 저로 하게 답파 파과 장주선바 차로 하게
어레
니게 내림으로부터 제외나서 하게 단다 년대로 하게 가정배 고방 수업을 제면 혼이 직바로 차대요 말해서 다 내림으로
내림도 세다 다도 통통그 터 디제 통통그 내림 토그로 왔고 원도 야가요
이네 코바를 접어샤고 말 근데 파괴 강사디
파괴 강사디 거기 파괴 강사 직바세 다 니도 그 니모시를 모아서 그거 방도 거라 단다 어머니 니르자 방도 펜이라 도메 디 마마지 거도 샤니 근데 사지 거도 샤기 되잖아
이네 가서 그래 코바를 타로 샤도 말와 단다 사탕고디
코아 타르셔 말이
알레네
니 코아 마다 니고 코아는 사기 되면서 코아 좋고 그거 말와
알도 동해 양국어요 말로다
나
하고 son다 그 동해 양국어요
누가 양고 누가 지어요 말다
just try to get it clear as possible. So Geshe said, yeah, that's a possibility, right? If one thinks that it takes 3 great countless eons to be Buddha, instead of doing that, I better just kind of go, right? Get my own nirvana out of samsara. When you have that attitude to counteract it, right? You can think about, right, riding the horse, that one. With regard to the Bodhisattvas on the path of seeing, actualizing nirvana, Geshe says that, of course, the Bodhisattvas on the path of seeing, that's the first transcendental path. We call it Arya Bodhisattva. Technically, they are not free from the state of suffering, samsara. But in terms of their realization, we might place them higher than those who have achieved the nirvana, right? Understand? Because these Bodhisattvas have realized that simply getting rid of afflicted emotions only for themselves, right? That is not the highest goal. They realize that, there is a higher goal for the sake of others. So hopefully that's some answers here.
Yeah, but is it true that they can actualize, and I don't know what that means. I've heard that they can actualize nirvana upon entering the path of seeing. They could enter nirvana somehow upon entering the path of seeing. Not just that they have higher qualities, like higher realizations, but they could enter nirvana just like they can enter nirvana at the eighth moment. If they choose, but they don't.
그러나 this is 전주 삼바 통람 사당고 토버로 하게 코나들 뉴바드 가르스네 기시 코나 시베잉을 슈기이나 로하게 슈기트에 뉴바요레스 데르베사 어디 돈다도 갈 수가 없어요.
그래서 그 요네 가가 내가 개버 정말 닝 소사다 이런 자주 도야를 가래 저것이 저도 세송 도고로
네.
그래서 통신이 가래 개버 정말 닝 소사다로
네.
그리고 소
아래 정말 숨고 소사데 좀 아래 그게 야래
이제 도도도 정말 닝 소사고 그러 그러 다 정말这个소但是你说他这个정말 다 그거 말이 세스 저는 세송 도고로 근데 제 이송 신가데 고 이제 개바들 보고 말아
알 콘스 주변에 디나 냥한테 슈투고
저 토토고 데데다 저 그게 니모 바샤베는 이 요새 용서 마도시 대셔고 세다 티 그거 메션 가가 베토야시 대셔고
Yeah, the meaning of that is said Geshe said Bodhisattvas on the path of seeing, the first ground, they have accumulated so much merit And if they do decide to put an end only to the afflictive emotions, they are the ability to do that, enter into nirvana. But they also realize that will be a partial accomplishment, so they decide not to do that. In the case of the Sharvakas who have achieved nirvana, they don't require that much merit as much as Bodhisattvas have, right? It is said that the nirvana could be achieved in 3 lifetimes. It doesn't require spending so many eons to accumulate merit. That's the meaning.
Yeah. Do that this is what occurs. You don't do so in the here, you never know how say, and Julia San Josuna, and the good news to the Jackada, long lawyer, shook rules to do. Good Tomo could tell you, does about Tava Mala say, in the senior title of Sanjati, Suji Shabu, in the sword, no liar. What is it?
But another related point is that, instead of first pursuing one's own nirvana from samsara, and then let's say you are going to detour back to the Mahayana path, because that may take a much longer time, because once you get locked into the solitary peace of nirvana for eons, somehow that negatively impacts generating great compassion, because great compassion is essential for enlightenment, right? And so that's why it's better in the beginning. It seems to be such a long route to take. It's better to pursue Mahayana from the beginning. At least you have opportunity to enhance the great compassion, rather than go to nirvana first and then come back, because it will take much longer time to generate great compassion.
Well, the other again, this one occurs. The Nog be Konsa Nog be Sanga to show in Sanga Tabu Mazum. And got that those never gave in the Sanjia gigs Marsigara.
No, sir.
You know, the Sanjia gigs.
No, sir. In the Dodejen Mahayana Sutra Alankara, it is said, as Geshe is recalling from his memory, that should a person follow the Vajrayana tantric path and doesn't keep the commitments or whatever, breaks the commitment, and is going to be reborn in the bad migrations and got to be stuck for eons, that person, once come out of that bad migration, can achieve enlightenment faster than someone who kind of enters into the nirvana, solitary peace first, because that person, once come out, will take much longer time to be enlightened. So therefore, they said, taking tantric vow and transgressing it, right? Even you do best, right? And going into hell is not necessarily regarded as an obstacle for enlightenment, whereas pursuing one's own personal nirvana from samsara is regarded an obstacle for enlightenment. That's how it is worded, right, in the Mahayana Sutra ornament.
Geshe said following the tantric path and not following their commitments, not fulfilling their commitments. That means that they're not following. So maybe in the explanation, does he mean that if you receive an empowerment and then you don't follow the tantric path, just receive the empowerment, then this case applies, that you'll be faster, even though you may go to hell, right, and so on.
Right.
Not following the tantric path, but receiving the empowerment, because it's not the same, isn't it?
That's right. Right. Somebody like if you want a particular case, as you said, somebody takes initiation, then turns into the commitment, right? Then of course we're going to go into bad migrations and will be there for eon. But once you come out and you follow the way to enlightenment, it's not regarded as obstacle, exactly. Whereas pursuing one's own personal nirvana from samsara is regarded as obstacle for enlightenment. Okay, I think we will stop. Yeah, you have a question? Oh, sure, go ahead. Yeah. Go ahead.
Thank you. I just had a quick question. When we talk about rest, and he mentioned renunciation or like abandoning, is that in the context of like, because we basically like abandon the things that make us exhausted. Like, is that in reference like the worldly concerns, basically? Like how maybe we exhaust ourselves by being so concerned with like pleasure and pain.
So you mean like letting go of the worldly concerns?
Yeah.
Okay. Tagi king di
Thank
telwe top share again. Telwe top nyum the king torwe top song again. Pena pedi king pena tangin jung rabu yabu che sa wa ina again. Di pa tor che da lam khong ma changju sim de ke wala again. Di gi tonda che tonda tor sa che roba. Sidiu kala ngal namju ken di roba jigden shuje yo roba again. Jigden shuje tor ko roba again. Di de la kone di ko roba so.
Tor sa this is tor sa tor don ni yo da. Ko kali kita kan uzu moji de pen changju sim go na. Ali go bi ne changju ta ma ja ta do uzu ro si de yang 승규샤 년가 세월로 디레 요는 알리 알아수세 내가 토르세 지게
샤바디
다요 이게 뉴중스 유에버세 인 저주세 메시 다 뉴중 코란 주버세 저주세 마금 데샤나
소신
다 뉴중 주 바샤 다 뉴중 깨사 거 요르와 다 저주세 공야고 시고 다 뉴중 바 공고야 그 요마로 어tel 토라스 고말이야 이거서 So don't have any of that.
No, did it explain? Then the Torah said, then the Jigden Shuge, but Torah said,
But you were, Torah said, you were, and the shower zero. So, the shower zero, Torah zero.
Geshe wants to make sure that, we understood the true meanings he explained in the case of the Tibetan word is Telve Thop, means the power of relaxation, right? But he also used the word Torwa, means to let go. And I said, yeah, I did translate that. The one is that if you are like pursuing the development of bodhicitta, but you're really exhausted, you still keep on doing it. So that's not going to work. So you should know kind of relax it, isn't it? That's the one meaning. But other meaning is that if you have already developed certain kind of a path, like renunciation, now don't be complacent with that. Let go of that, and you should go with the bodhicitta. But the letting go meaning is the same like eight worldly concerns. Like we have to let go eight worldly concerns. It's the same meaning.
It seems to me that these are entirely different meanings. So is this two different interpretations of the word letting go, or because they don't get together? They don't go together.
Right. In Tibetan, actually, the words are different. I don't know. Geshe will give the two explanations, right? So I gave you the root word. I don't know. The same word could have those two explanations. I will double check with Geshe. Okay, is that okay?
Yeah, sure. Yeah. I mean,
Well,
Torva with Torva, for example,
Right.
it's more sounds like not being satisfied.
Right.
Not, actually, it's the opposite of relaxing.
Right.
You're not satisfied. You're not resting on your laurels and so on.
Kuran tanda gengi di telbe top da deshe ni kyum ruwa gen. Kisi soso enjik tang chebe ina yang ba ngala ruwa suje ruwa gen. Che kwa re se di da kwa chi kurangi chi dun kora taka telba se ruwa gen. Da tanda shamba di pena lam chik tie sa yuna nginjung ruwa gen. Di pa sha ne se kuji ruwa gen. Tik taka rana di sha ne se kuji di yor beso kuran telba se de la. Telba se de la chik da kuji ma di ya torwa jago ruwa.
Torah jago, Torah that Nikam Torah Jigda, but when the Torah Niyara, that's so Kalika, Tova Majana, Ali Alasan, Udu Majitel, Nikam Torah Matagoda, Irish in it, Yasira Dera. That Tine Nizunda, the Yahweh, your son, in time Nizum Shum was a Sharusa going to shoot Javina, Nizum shoot Torah, not only Torah.
Torbe top se je ke kap shambajal ma da tanda dele ya torbe top se ke tungyu ma da gengi nyam do sung se ma da ro ge tanda dele ya telbe top ma da torbe top se de shege ma ro ge in da gengi kung shambajal tanda torbe top de sung se
Torah said Torah top that Tagiti top Dina
top shina la gen telbe top da thala tel
Mari Torah do yori in the Torah yori
al gen dina tana Torah
Torah
thala tel de ge
Mari Tanner Torah's in the Shah, you killed the
al telbe de yomar chana
La
thala tel se gen yomar da telbe top se
movement of said that Teva Sajik Barta, movement
telba thala tel
Tala this had the movement you were that Teva Yodera. Tala Temata,
tada tero ge
Tata
tada men thala tel
Tala Teva said the Timari.
didina yomar
Yamari.
Yeah, so I think that's where it's coming from. I think the deep difference, the spelling of Because the Tibetan word like Deba, or something like that. I said, no, I'm not talking about that. I think in the Tibetan word, the word he has seen is the Thorva, which is letting go. It didn't have the word Kalatel, relaxation, So I think this way we have here rest. So that's why Geshe gave two explanations of that based upon the commentary.
Well, that the two letting goes in verse 31 and verse 32, again, you have letting go. They actually mean two different things. So let's say in verse 31, it would be torwa, like abandoning, not being satisfied, as well as abandoning, like David said, the 8 worldly concerns. Whereas in verse 32, the letting go refers to only to rest, just rest, like relaxation.
the 6 Arabs in Benarwage, some just sorty Nalia top sheet shake the wagon. The Cablia Torva City Kalata, Tagiking Pashaya Sash or Wage, Nekabrage, Nashad. Some just Sony de la Yan, and the Torva staying, do Kala Kuju Dita, Tagiking Kasangiso Kapwas, deep quarter than the Goris.
Torsa, Children, Torsa Pa Shawl Severwa.
No.
That Shawl Negap Shawl did that when a pa Shaggy Shiver in
Yeah, I think the Tibetan word Thorva, letting go, he has a double meaning in the sense that one is you kind of temporarily let go. That's like when it's so exhausted, right? Then you can't let go completely. The one is you let go completely in the sense of renunciation. You have it, right? That's the meaning. Yeah. Okay, so we'll stop there today, and we will continue next week, and hope Geshe will feel better. And let me see. Oh, I have to put the page number. 92, 33, 34. So I don't have any prayer requests, but anyway, when we do dedications, we could think about all people who need prayers. And let me see. Page 3 of the booklet. Lord Gyaltsen, Yudon, Begate, Gesang, Pongbe, Jido, Mianba Xin, Mianba Zila, Wangdo, Jishu, Daniel, Shugun, Chola, Sowa, de page 5. Ma Wan Dame, Gunjian, Donga, de Kangri, Zongso, Ninda, Seze, Jianggun, Jiawa, Jiwa, Yapse, Changshuang, Tenzin, Mabe, Shiva, Tenzin, Shebe, Jinggun, Zebe, Xie, Nigun, Shangzhu, Tendu, Longda, Tamzhu, Bebe, Beiyun, Duja, Jiazu, Wendo, Shabdin, Pesa, Gongda, Shizu, Zongbe, Yongzhou, Yuri, Tobu, Nyagi, Longri, Tejin, Nembu, Bedemba, Tuden, Kangri, Dabo, Shabdin, Dona, Kongmen, Zeba, Tenda, Rowe, Pende, Zhongbe, Shi, Lendo, Kimi, Shibe, Chile, Gesa, Deje, Zendo, Shabdin, Chizin, Lame, Toge, Melam, Gesa, Deje, Tendam, Same, Tozo, Todo, Chido, Nomba, Chida, Mebe, Dungun, Lendo, Show. Page 9. Ramjan Jinge, Wombo, Tseba, Zodo, Namje, Kiyun, Zhema, Shojo, Ziye, Lazo, Tamje, Dade, Mishi, Shoge, Mujo, Tuden, Cheda, Losan, Yawa, Yi, Shiro, Temba, Zimbe, Peiyun, Tade, Duja, Yongge, Xinyan, Sho, Yangzhu, Nishe, Hongbo, Shabden, Jiden, Sumgun, Chana, Benmun, Zhong, Denbe, Zawa, Soso, Sawa, Namda, Chudimi, Yangda, Lamba, Wasan, Gaden, Bebe, Shabden, Tujon, Yajin, Nunzi, Yangbe, Shi, Samjo, Namju, Sangzi, Gomjon, Shila, Shungju, Debu, De, Tembe, Mata, Shembo, Shep, Chebe, Dongma, Kowa, Bojo, De, Zumbe, Liglan, Siyu, Mumda, Zumbe, Denden, Lekshe, Changzar, Ju, Kiru, Xinyi, Shembo, Shabden,
开别朗读古些在的准备查拉念作让在上边的这地方一些路送点新年宣布晓得。德上除了这边点点一民众大致上面时间，拉近最近点主白小白，新的新年宣布晓得。朝鲜叫我谁在勤劳的，昨天他们正送面进来。大家马上大白点到，其他门别等个人多。说常着心着人不这马街把能解决，给我娘吧灭吧。光的光都陪我了说，当年打我人不这马街把能解决，给我娘吧灭吧。光的光都陪我说，啥些别些就是没多长，热了07年的烟吧。上界行动没得为我，如果能达行了，这把说抗日热为国为新港的判断，在我马路中为，今日希望定睛家作业下边，研究这一旦过入热那曼德拉个你。大亚民叫我滚落养大拉曼当这面出去白拉龙子，萨达南京原的拉着年到这长给国王牛都有。